Hi guys and welcome to another video. So Sunderland have just announced their retained list. So in this video what I'm going to do is go through the Sunderland statement around and surrounding the retained list. We'll go through the retained list itself, who's staying, who's going and who's got new contracts offered to them. Then at the end we'll have a look at the players we still have on board. If everything goes to plan in terms of players accepting contracts and just players in general who are still under contract for the senior side. And then I will discuss what I believe we need to bring in, who I think should go. So basically who I think should stay and who I think should go. So it's a bit of a beefy one today. So we'll get straight into it and we'll jump to the Sunderland statement for the retained list. So they go on to say, Sunderland AFC today confirmed its retained list for the 2021-2022 season. Haydn McGeady, Denver Hume and Luke O'Nien will be offered new contracts at the Stadium of Light and discussions continue to take place with Charlie Wyke over his future at the club. An option has also been exercised to extend Oliver Younger's deal until June 2022. Callum McFadzean, Chris Maguire, Conor McLaughlin, Grant Leadbitter, Max Power, Josh Scowen and Remy Matthews have not been offered new terms and will leave the club when their respective contracts expire on the 30th of June 2021. Dion Sanderson, Jake Vokins and Jordan Jones have also returned to their parent clubs. Sporting Director Christian Speetman said, "We would like to place on record our appreciation to the players who will be leaving the club this summer. Although we have been unable to achieve our core objective, they were instrumental in bringing silverware back to Wayside and we wish each of them every success in the next stage of their careers. We have had to make some tough decisions, but we firmly believe that they are in the best interests of Sunderland AFC in the long term." Lee Johnson added, "The players have worked extremely hard this season in very difficult circumstances and their reward for that was a trophy-winning season and a playoff spot. We are all disappointed we could not achieve our ultimate goal of winning League One, but we thank the players for their endeavours and commitment and we will always welcome them back to the football club with open arms. As we look to a new dawn, there are many reasons to be optimistic about our future as we continue to rebuild the football club." So here is the full list of players remaining under contracts. We have Aidan O'Brien, we have Anthony Patterson, we have Arbit Jamali, we have Bailey Wright, Benji Kimpioka, Cole Winchester, Dan Neal, Elliot Embleton, George Dobson, Jack Diamond, Jordan Willis, Josh Hawkes, Lee Burge, Lyndon Gooch, Oliver Younger, Ross Stewart, Tom Flanagan and Will Grigg. Then of course the following senior players are to be offered a new contract. We have Denver Hume, Luke O'Nien, Aidan McGeady and Charlie Wyke as well. So moving on to the following senior players that are released. Of course, we've just spoke about it. Callum McFadzean, Chris Maguire, Conor McLaughlin, Grant Leadbitter, Josh Scowen, Max Power and Remy Matthews. And of course, Dion Sanderson, Vokins and Jordan Jones all going back to their parent clubs after finishing their loan spell with Sunderland. So to be fair, when I saw that, I actually thought it was quite a ballsy move in terms of the likes of, leaving Max Power, letting him go because he is our captain. Josh Scowen as well, he seemed to be a bit of a favourite under Lee Johnson. Grant Leadbitter, he's someone who, I've been accused of being a bit of a fanboy, and I guess I am, but I just think with someone like Grant Leadbitter, yes, he's ageing, but I do believe he still offers something on the pitch, and to have someone like him around, particularly the younger players, I think that is vital. There's very few players and people left at the club who are just Sunderland through and through, who love Sunderland for Sunderland. He's been there, be it the Premier League, the Championship, and now League One as well, of course. So, I wouldn't have minded him getting offered another year, and again, you probably disagree with me, a lot of people, generally people do, that's fine. But I think, it says something how poor our midfield has been when Grant Leadbitter, being a defensive midfielder himself, has been, and this is facts, if you look at statistics with forward passing accuracy and shots and goals, he has been our biggest attacking threat from midfield. And a lot of people say that all he does is pass it backwards and slow the play down, when in reality he has been our biggest attacking threat, which isn't to say that, that's a good thing. It is a bad thing, and that's why we need a huge clear out, particularly in midfield, and that's why I was pleased to see the likes of Power and Scowen go, because it is a ballsy move, to let your captain go, and Scowen, who seems to be, like I say, a favourite under Lee Johnson. So we've got that core out because they were just all very, very samey and similar players, very defensive, no real attack-minded players in there. So again, like I say, it was a ballsy move, and I'm happy with that. Chris Maguire, I'm also relatively saddened that he's gone. I know people are very 50-50 on him. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't expect him to play every game or every minute of the season. But he is a player, and he is a big game player who has given us some really, really good memory since he has come down to League One. The first season, particularly in League One, he looked like he shouldn't be playing in League One. He could even be a Championship player with some of the quality, his skill on the ball, technical ability, and he seems to only score worldies. So, I will give him that. And of course, over the years, or as the years went by, or as the couple of seasons gone by since then, you can see that there was maybe a slight attitude problem. He was fluctuating with his weight. So there was probably an issue there, and maybe it was the right decision to let him go. It just doesn't shy away from the fact that I am sad that he is going, because I do really, really like Chris Maguire. He is the king, of course. But other than that, I'm relatively pleased with it. Conor McLaughlin, I thought he could have maybe have been a squad player, but in general, he's been injured or for a large part of his Sunderland career when he did join us. He has been very poor. He improved slightly this season, but other than that, he was quite poor. So you have to say that's probably the right decision there. It's great to see that Ollie Young has been given a contract. I think he's got a real future at the club. I think he's going to be a real player as well. The likes of Dhannoo, it looks like he's been pushed into the senior squad. Same with Hawks, who's been excellent for the under-23s. Patterson as well. I think he has a good future at the club. But now we'll have a look at all the players now that have been retained. And I've got this little table that I've nicked off Twitter, and then I'll just discuss what I think we actually need now. So for the goalkeepers, we have Lee Burge and Anthony Patterson. Now for me, I think it would be best to send Anthony Patterson out on loan for a season, get him some first team football with a higher age group. With the 23s, he's been absolutely fantastic. He looked really, really solid the last couple of games. I've managed to watch him, and I think he's looked very, very good. He looks very calm and controlled and composed for a young goalkeeper. And I certainly think he has a future at the club, but I do think he should just go out and get some first-team football for a season. Lee Burge, I think, should be number 2 now. Yes, he has saved us on countless occasions this season, but he's also so prone to errors, and we need to cut those out. For every 3 or 4 good saves he makes, he'll make a good 1 or 2 really, really poor errors, and I mean errors that do lead to goals immediately, if that makes sense. And that's the thing with Lee Burge. We can't keep risking players who are going to be a little bit of a liability. So I think bringing in a new goalkeeper, a new number 1, is pretty big up there in the priority list as well. Like I say, Patterson go out on loan, Lee Burge drop down to number 2 maybe. You've got the Pompey keeper who's just been released. He's at the end of his contract. To go for him, Craig McGilvery, he was absolutely fantastic. He's arguably been one of the best goalkeepers, or the best goalkeeper in League One. So it's ridiculous if we don't end up going for him. There's rumours that Charlton are in for him, but I think we should at least give it a go. He should be a dead on player that we should be going for. But looking at right back, you've got Luke O'Nien there, and Luke O'Nien only. And Luke O'Nien, as we all know, that isn't his natural position. So we could easily end up going for a couple of right backs there. I would do that because I want to see Luke O'Nien in midfield, because he's someone who can get forward, can get back, he can do a bit of everything. He can do the dirty work and he can attack. So I want to see Luke O'Nien in his natural position. The last couple of years he's played right back primarily. In the back end of last season, he's played at centre back. So really, we don't have any natural right backs in the senior squad at all. So a couple there, maybe a more experienced head, and then a younger one maybe to bring in. Now, as the defenders, the centre-backs, we have Bailey Wright, Willis, who of course is injured for pretty much the season anyway. Jamali, he'll be returning from injury. So all we've really got is Flanagan, who's only just come back from injury, and I'm not a massive fan. Bailey Wright, who's just come back from injury, who played very, very poorly, in my opinion, for the back end of the season. And Oliver Younger, who's only a young lad, of course, young lad, whatever. But for me, I would probably get rid of Flanagan. The only thing I like about Flanagan is when he plays in a back 3. On the left-hand side of a back 3, I think he's decent. In a back 2, he is an absolute liability and has been since we signed him. He can cover at left-back, which is probably something that Lee Johnson likes. But for me, he just isn't good enough. So for me, maybe 1, possibly even 2 centre-backs to partner with Bailey Wright. But I do think Young should definitely be given the opportunity next season. Now, left back, we have Denver Hume, so of course we only have Denver there. We're going to need a backup. So right now, I'm saying from goalkeepers to defenders, we need a goalkeeper, we need a right back, possibly 2. We need maybe a centre-back, a left-back. Now, in midfield, if we did chuck O'Nien in there, that means that we do have Winchester, O'Nien, Dan Neil and George Dobson. I would presume that George Dobson is going to be sold, which would mean that we'd need another central midfielder, maybe 2 central midfielders. But then in the wingers, that's where we're looking a bit better with Embleton, who's had an excellent season with Blackpool on loan. Diamond, he's been very hit and miss, but he's just signed a contract with us, so he's obviously going to stick about. Aidan McGeady, I really, really hope that he does sign a new deal. I think him for a year. He's so good for this league. He's still sharp. and I still really, really rate him. He still has that moment of magic in him. We have Lyndon Gooch as well and Josh Hawkes. It'll be exciting to see Josh Hawkes as well, given a bit of game time here and there, or even loan him out for the season. But he is, 22, 23, but he's been absolutely pulling up mountains in the under-23s. He's been absolutely insanely good. With the goals he scores from midfield and from the wide areas, he's been excellent. So it'd be nice to give him a chance as well. Now in the striking department, of course, we have Charlie Wyke, who's been offered a new contract. O'Brien as well, Kimpioka, Stewart, and Grigg. I would think that maybe get Kimpioka out on loan for a season after he has been injured. So it'd be good to give him some game time under his belt. I'll probably get rid of Aidan O'Brien, exactly the same with Will Grigg, which would leave us with only Ross Stewart and Charlie Wyke, who still hasn't signed the contract. Now, here's my issue with Charlie Wyke. If Charlie Wyke doesn't sign a contract, would I be heartbroken? No, I wouldn't personally. It sounds stupid because he scored over 30 goals this season. He's been great in that sense. But the thing is with Charlie Wyke, and this isn't me slighting him at all, but he's a very, very one-dimensional player. And when he's on the pitch, it makes the team play in a very one-dimensional way, particularly when you don't have anyone who has that real attacking ability from the centre of midfield, which we haven't had. So we've had to rely on just the one tactic and one tactic only, which is get the ball out wide and pump balls in for Charlie Wyke. And Charlie Wyke, he is capable of scoring a couple of goals in one game and then following up with 2 absolute sitters. So that, if anything, that's more credit to the guys in the wide areas, i.e. the likes of Jones when he was playing, or Gooch, or McGeady, of course, being the core feeder for Charlie Wyke. It is just credit for them for the quality of ball. So if we lose someone like Haydn McGeady, I don't think Charlie Wyke will be anywhere near as dangerous next season. And like I say, when we play with Charlie Wyke on the pitch, if we aren't going out wide, if the fullbacks have covered our wingers well, then Charlie Wyke is absolutely anonymous and you don't see him for 90 minutes. But you do have that option, of course, if the fullbacks, you see that we're going to get the better of the fullbacks with Aidan McGeady on one side or whoever on the other, then yes, that's when you want Charlie Wyke on your side, because you can keep feeding those quality balls in and eventually he will hit the back of the net. But like I say, when Aidan McGeady is struggling on one side or whatever wingers we're playing, if their fullbacks, the opposition fullbacks, are doing well and cancelling out our wide play, then it makes Charlie Wyke absolutely irrelevant and anonymous, and he offers nothing else, in my opinion, or at least enough to warrant a place within the side. But like I say, luckily this season he has had some very, very good quality balls into him, and of course he has to finish him. He's proven that he can finish it. And if you look at his goals he scored this season, almost every goal is exactly the same. It's all headers, which is fine. If they all come off his arse, I wouldn't care. But the point still stands. It's very, very one-dimensional if Charlie Wyke stays. But we'll have to see what happens with that. So if Charlie Wyke doesn't sign, and then Aidan O'Brien goes, and Grigg goes, and maybe Kimpioka out on loan, we're going to need another couple of strikers as well. So for me, we're looking at a goalkeeper, a couple of right backs, a centre back, a left back, maybe another midfielder, well, a couple of midfielders. Maybe we could get one winger in, maybe not. We've got quite a heavy amount there in the strike. We're looking at a good 8-9 players there, easy, that we need to bring in, and they need to be right this season. They really, really need to be right. And it has, to be fair, even straight after this disappointment of the semi-final knockout from Lincoln, I've been depressed in South Wednesday. I didn't really want to make any videos at all. But then this has actually made me a little bit excited again, because we have got rid of what I consider to be the deadwood. And it does give me reason to be a bit more optimistic. A lot of people have asked me, am I Lee Johnson in? Am I Lee Johnson out? That is pretty irrelevant at this point, because, to be fair, it looks like he's not going anywhere. KLD was only with him the other day for the playoff finals for the under-23s, and they were all watching him. I can't see him losing his job now. Do I think he is the right man? I don't know. I really don't. I don't think he has the sort of build of your sort of typical Sunderland manager that I generally like. Someone who is sort of passionate and is honest. I think he does talk a lot of bullshit, personally. And I think a lot of the words he uses in interviews, I don't think he knows what they mean himself. I think some of his tactical decisions have been poor. But what can I do? What can I say? I'm not going to sit here and scream Lee Johnson out. But now it is his opportunity. And as a head coach, not just a manager, a pre-season is where a head coach can shine. So this is where his big opportunity is going to present itself for this pre-season, because he's going to get a good few weeks. He has no excuse at all to say that, we've had games coming thick and fast. You haven't had opportunities to get him on the training pitch. He's going to have weeks and weeks to implement his philosophy. He's going to have weeks and weeks to get in the right players that he wants. And we're using this sort of more data analysis type of science and side to the game now when it comes to recruitment with our players. So if that all comes good, it could be very, very interesting. And he has worked within that kind of atmosphere before, working purely on data. So it's an interesting one, and it's going to be a very interesting summer and a very, very important summer as well. So those are my sort of thoughts of the side and the retained list. I am generally happy with it. I think it was a ballsy move with a few of them, like I said, like some Max Power and Scown and stuff. So we do have reason to be excited, even though it is only a few days after being dumped out of the playoff semi-finals. But anyway, yeah, so you guys let me know what you think of the retained list. Who do you think we should bring in? Are you happy with it? Who do you think we should sell? Etc, etc, etc. But if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care. Stay jamming.